Yo, hello there guys, local JB here. Recently, Mordekaiser's R does actually get changed. So if Mordekaiser ults you, you cannot QSS it anymore for balancing reasons, right? He gets buffed. Now that raises up the question, should Malzahar get the same buff? Generally speaking, this champion is not great. He's not great, right? We already all know that. Now, one of the issues is with Malzahar, he is kind of taped together with Liandry. So without Liandry, this champion is often not very functional. He does rely a lot on that item. And the other issue with Malzahar is that his R at the time got nerfed, damage-wise. The other notable thing is that it doesn't deal too much damage. For example, early on, 125, right? Then you deal a bit more than 10%, like depending on your AP level, usually around like 12% HP based damage, which is generally not a lot, right? And so the issue with Malzahar's ult is that it's rather short ranged, right? It's actually short ranged, right? From the other hand, it can be cancelled by CC, right? While also compared to, like, let's say Mordekaiser saw, right? He goes in Shadow Realm, or Death Realm actually, for 7 seconds, which means the allies of the enemy team cannot mess with him, but people can mess with Malzahar, right? And the same logic applies to Malzahar. He is generally not great, and I think that could be very easily added, because Malzahar is a bit weird, because like when people buy QSS, it's like you're useful till people get QSS, right? And the other issue is with QSS is it feels like it does 30 MR, so it's not only that people cleanse your R, but it doesn't feel like you deal any damage, which is a bit of a problem, right? That's definitely a issue with Malzahar as if now. Now, the other thing about Malzahar is that he's rather short range, so it doesn't only does badly into like heavily engage oriented comps that can cancel his R, he also does badly into pokes. Now, I know Malzahar does actually have a shield. Later on it's a bit more reliable, but that's only after level 16, it's 12 seconds, not 18, but he still can be vulnerable to pokes if his shield is down, so often he can be vulnerable both to pokes and heavy all-in oriented comps. As I said before, the other issue shows up, his W just is kinda useless in mid-late game, because often they get cleared, right? So they could be also arguably empowered maybe when Malzahar ults, because often they just get killed. The more champions Riot Games added, the more like a counterplay there is for Malzahar, or more AoE damage in the game to sort of counter his voidlings in a way, or other type of effects that could perhaps just deal with his R, like Yon. Some champions outrange him, perhaps. Like Smolder, you know. Or just simply said, Sanity can also pretty much just like W, right? So there are like ways to counter ability-wise Malzahar's R, and the rest of his kit is not great in general. So either he needs some type of mini rework, or it would be a good quality change if his R wouldn't be cancelable. Now, I know that this is the type of R that looks down a champion, and it wouldn't be a bit unfair to have such an ultimate that locks someone down for 2.5 seconds. It wouldn't be that imbalanced, because why do I even say that? For example, Twisted Fate is just a better Malzahar, while in fact he also, or perhaps we could even talk about Lysandra, right? But I just talk about Twisted Fate at the time. He has a better collapse opportunity, right, with his R, and he does have a gold card that can stand for 2 seconds. It's not 2.5, but at least you can move, so you can utilize the other parts of your kit meantime you all in, right? So you don't lock yourself down in one place as well, right? Which is also quite nice to know. So if you could just move, even let's say hypothetically it wouldn't be QSSable, or perhaps the other thing that could be considered, you could R, but you could move. You could move, so perhaps you could sidestep something, a Serati that could cancel your R or something, anything. Because often the issue is with Malzahar, for example, if you play into like any type of AoE champs like Ari, he can clear, or Serat, you know, whatever, he can clear your W very easily, and then they throw in their CC. So often it's even so difficult to like find all-in angles because people have CC in their kit. So just being able to move meantime you are. Now I know that's weird, right? But that would be actually great. Because for example, even so like Karma, right, can W someone, it roots for a long period of time. Now I know that it needs to be set up, obviously, but she can move, right? And the issue with Malzahar is that, as I said, he's short range. Tick damage is not the greatest thing in these days, unless it's OP, like, of course, like, Aureli also has a lot of tick damage, he's strong, Brand can be strong, but that doesn't specifically apply to Malzahar's tick damage. Because like his E is not very useful. I mean, it's mainly a wave clear tool in team fights, so it's not as good as an Aurelion Soul in team fights or a Brand, which is also problematic as a mage that he's not the best team fighter. He may be decent at getting picks, but he's not way better than a Lissandra or a Twisted Fate, so he's not like specifically too good at anything, right? He's good at wave clearing, let's say, right? He's good at specifically good at wave clearing, mainly that any other champion couldn't like match, right? In a way, you could just EW a wave in mid game, he wipes it, but that's a notable thing. Or maybe his Q could just not silence, because often it feels like it's useless these days, because people just blow their whole kit and then they get silenced. That's how it feels like, or they sidestep it. So it could give something else, maybe like a small route. A short route wouldn't feel to be bad. A slow or a slow and a silence, or anything, any additional functionality. I know it already resets E, but it's just not that big, guys. Even it could be even just faster at Inzibit, so it's consistent. At least it should consistently hit without R, in my opinion. But there are any like type of quality life of changes that could be added to Malzahar at least. As I said, Lissandra can also like collapse better because of her E R into W, really good gang setup compared to like Malzahar, and she also does have an R. It does less, but it has AoE damage. And frequency wise, I think it's a little bit more frequent, if I'm correct. I'm not 100% sure. But also notably, I mean, the good thing about it, you can self-cast it as well. Meantime, Malzahar's ult has no flexibility defensively, right? So that's a bit of a bummer, right? So it's a bit of a very, very, very unflexible champion on what he can do. Or perhaps what would be super interesting if his W would have evolutions, right? Void Storm, Starcraft Enjoyers, anyone? His W could actually evolve with a certain amount of CS, or if they kill a certain amount of minions, they could evolve, which could add to the interesting. They could make the character basically more interesting, in my opinion. So after like 5 points, they would evolve. You could choose 1 out of 3 evolutions, or perhaps you could CS a certain amount, and then let's say if you kill like 50 or 100 minions with your voidlings, you get a certain evolution type, which means these voidlings could have ranged attacks. Ranged attacks would be interesting, because these, as I said before, they get perma wiped. As an example, you know, so that would add to the coolness of the champion as well, right? That would make the champion super cool. Or some type of abomination, for example, instead of summoning multiple of these, he summons a bigger voidling that has, let's say, AoE damage around it, and maybe does AoE hits on basics. I mean, that's just one of the ideas, you know. Or perhaps controllable Ws, flying units. That would be another thing. You could just press W, you could like press again W and control where they walk. But I guess that takes micromanagement, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like that complicated, but just as an example. But that would be like the most interesting thing. Or for example, the more points you have put into R, you can get evolutions like Kha'Zix, because like this whole Void team is about evolution. Kai'Sa can evolve for abilities, so they do something different. Kha'Zix evolves his abilities, obviously jumps further, has slow AoE on W, right? So there are like some Void champs, of course, like even so Victor evolves his abilities, but Malzahar does not evolve shit, right? But it would be own team to be able to like evolve something, right? As a great example, you know. Now, is there anything else to this? I think at most we got it. That's my own like personal opinion on like how Malzahar could be changed towards the more positive side, you know, I would say, because currently it's kind of useless. Maybe he's good in low yield, of course, but I think let's just check win rate wise. You usually don't like to check win rates and judge a champion based on that, because you should all the time have your own opinion about everything. That's like a master plan. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. That's way lower than I thought. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. In EU, 40, holy fuck. Yeah, I mean, as I thought, he's very dog shit in higher ranks, but not this bad. Korea, how does he do in Korea? In Korea, but in EU people pick meta champs, so it generally does not do like insanely well in 2000. I mean, he has some good items like Malignance, whatnot, but he's just still Malzahar, you know. That's ugly. It's as bad as I thought. Even worse, win rate wise. It's a bit ugly, but no one plays him, so that kinda inflates as well. The champion, right? I think that's it for now about the Malzahar discussion. Those are the general things I think he could be reworked on. Definitely feel free to leave a comment if you have different opinions to discuss about. But that's it for now, guys. Have a nice day.